welcome everyone to the Too Long Don't Listen podcast. This is Senda, your host, who hasn't recorded an episode since October 2025, but I'm happy to be back with the beautiful and amazing Shreya, who accepted to join me on the recording. So welcome, Shreya. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to have this chat.
I'm also super excited and thank you for joining me. I'm excited to get to know your career better, your experience better, and obviously your work, all the amazing work you've done at Peloton, which is a brand I love. So this will be an interesting chat. As you know, the whole point of this podcast is to kind of deep dive into specific product marketing experiences, and yours is quite special because you've been through various industries and ended in sports tech. So I'd love to start with an intro from you, letting us know how your journey has been so far and how you ended up at Peloton.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you for your kind words. I really appreciate them. So, I think my career has been shaped by really one central interest, which is how do you understand people as consumers and then how do you connect them to really great products? So, I started my career right out of college in brand marketing in the entertainment industry in India. I worked on motion picture film marketings. I worked on this movie called Student of the Year 2, which is on Netflix.
Nice.
And then I think the project that really shaped my love for products was helping to launch TikTok in India. It was such an interesting time when we did do that launch where I had to kind of be very nimble, think on my feet. It was a fast emerging market in India to also go into an industry where we were moving towards short form content. So I kind of fell in love with the process of product marketing then. So I've now worked in product marketing across streaming, across consumer tech, and now connected fitness. At Peloton, that's where my role really lies. I think deeply about how do we bring product, audience insight, business strategy all together so that we are focusing on that member experience around motivation, around progress, around community. And I think that's the part of product marketing that I love the most is translating product innovation into something that makes the product feel more connected, relevant, and useful to people so that it's something that they always come back to.
I think that's such a beautiful definition of product marketing, which makes me want to ask you, when did you know you became a product marketer? Because most of the PMMs I've spoken to didn't really know they were becoming a PMM until, it kind of got official at the company and they were building the department or joining the product marketing team. So when was that time for you?
That's such a good question because I always say that the best PMMs that I've worked with have come from other industries. So either they've worked on the brand side or in insights or come from an agency. So for me, I think it was a little bit of a deliberate decision. So, like I mentioned, I spent 2 years working in India. I moved to New York for grad school. And then during grad school, my kind of notion was that I wanted to work in the subscription business. I was very fascinated by it. I thought streaming made the most sense in 2019. That's kind of when all the different players were coming to the front stage. So I was very deliberate about recruiting into product marketing, which I think coming from a brand integrated storytelling background really came from this desire to kind of grow more. The thing about product marketing is because products will always be different, no matter what level you're at. Anytime you join a new company or work on a new product, there will be a little bit of a learning curve, which to me feels really exciting because that means you will always have different channel teams to work with, different cross-functional stakeholders to work with. So it felt like I knew I wanted to pivot into product marketing. And my rationale behind it was that I wanted to be in a role where I was constantly learning something and I wanted to kind of lean on utilizing that storytelling muscle that I had built out in my career and then translating it into building really cool product experiences.
So how is it looking at Peloton? Tell us more.
Yeah, I've had such a wonderful time at Peloton so far. I've been there for about a year and some months now. Before that, I was at Disney streaming for a few years. So I think my experience at Peloton has been very fast paced, it's been very collaborative, but also deeply meaningful. I think something that stands out to me when I look back is that these are products that genuinely impact people's lives, whether it's helping you go through a new stage of your life, like for women going through menopause, or giving you support for running your first marathon ever, or simply for people who kind of woke up one day and decided, you know what, I want to commit to living a longer, healthier life. I think that sense of purpose is very present in Peloton and how people work internally as well. And for me, it has really changed the way I think about work. It has kind of put purpose at at the center of everything when we go into work every day. From a product marketing standpoint, it's an incredibly dynamic place. We're a very lean, high impact team, so the stakes are pretty high. But I think now where the industry is, health wellness in general is navigating so many big changes, whether that's the coming of technology with AI. How do we think about AI in ways that pertains to our product and our consumers? Or even just the fact that in a post pandemic world, people are kind of craving that in person sense of community, whether that's run clubs or, the rise of Pilates, the new focus on strength training. I think it's a reminder that what we do is so much more than just about tools. It's really about helping people understand their identity, connection, building community. So for me, it's been a really great place to grow.
Hmm.
The first week that I joined, I was immediately put on a new exciting launch, which was launching Strength Plus, a strength training app under our portfolio of products. I've had to work very cross functionally, kind of thinking about how do you get comfortable moving fast, making quick pivots, but also thinking long term in the sense of that subscription business. How do you not only get people to try your products, but get them to fall in love with you so that they're a lifelong customer?
You know what? Everything you shared resonates with me so much because, as you know, I moved to New York recently and trying to find people to do activities that I like for example, you mentioned the run club or running your first marathon. I'm like, oh, maybe I should sign up because I found a run club 2 or 3 months after moving to New York, and that was like a great moment for me to find a community of people who I have
Yeah.
similar interests with. So I completely get the community part. I'm very curious to hear how you were able to connect that with the app, right? And especially the app you launched. So tell us more about Peloton. I guess if you can explain the product as a whole and how you contributed to the specific go to market, how did you find it? How was the overall experience?
I think I'll start kind of within our structure. So I work on a lot of our software experiences. So anything from launching new apps, new features, partner integrations, and then e commerce. So we were launching a new standalone app that would help people strength train. So essentially taking Peloton to the gym outside of their house, meeting our members where they are, which could be, your local Equinox or Planet Fitness or even the gym in your apartment. Strength Plus is an app where you can input how much time you have. Let's say I only have 20 minutes. I want to get a quick arm and ab workout in. You can put that in our workout generator and then have in-ear cues from instructors. So like solving those small problems, like when I go to the gym, I'm like, if I'm following a routine, where do I place my phone? Can I see it if I put it like on the wall? I'm looking back to check, if I'm doing it the right way. You don't want to hurt yourself when it comes to strength training. So I think the Strength Plus app solves a lot of these problems where it's like you have in your cues, you have real motivation, it fits into your schedule. But at the same time, I think what makes Peloton so special is our content, our instructors who are incredible coaches to people who follow them. So it also has different strength specific programs from our instructors. So I think my role within launching this app was really to lead that go to market strategy, thinking about how do we position Strength Plus in the current strength training market, but also within that Peloton portfolio of people who maybe have only done a running class with us or who have a Peloton bike but are looking to get into strength training. So I think it was to think about what is our narrative in the long term, extending beyond that initial launch. For me, I think it was also about helping to define what strength training would look like within the Peloton ecosystem and why it mattered in that particular moment. So I think it was strategic for a few different reasons. The first one being that obviously strength training in general has become a huge cultural and consumer focus and priority in the last couple of years. We were seeing this intentional shift towards strength training, progressive overload, performance oriented routines. So I think we wanted to be inclusive of where the consumers were naturally headed in their journey and have them help think of Peloton as a partner in that journey. So whether you're just starting strength training, you have no idea where to begin, or you're a seasoned strength trainer who just needs a little extra support, we wanted to create something that was for everyone within that spectrum. Secondly, I think a lot of cross-functional leadership was required. So you had to align product, content, life cycle, creative, channel teams so that we're all telling one clear audience story,
Yeah.
which is who is this product for? What problem are we solving? And what should we make sure to focus on so that this audience keeps coming back? And then lastly, I think for me, the work didn't stop with launch. Go to market is a big part of product marketing. But I think for the piece that I'm really passionate about is that I created a new strength newsletter where we connected different parts of Peloton, whether that's our incredibly helpful blog, whether that's highlighting member stories about how strength training changed their lives, and then new content coming on Strength Plus, kind of as like a one stop. If I don't know anything about strength, how do I know what are the different offerings related to strength at Peloton? It was such a strong opportunity to flex that product marketing muscle, understanding what is shifting in the market, how do we define the audience opportunity at hand, and then launching with clarity while building that ongoing relationship with existing consumers and new consumers that are hopefully finding you through this product.
I love that this example of launch, and thank you so much for sharing with such great detail, but it perfectly outlines how product marketing touches all these different components, like from storytelling to go to market strategy to I'm sure you've done also competitive intelligence. So you've done all of this in one huge launch, which today, so the app is available. And last time we talked, you told me that I can sign up for free and I can have access to everything. So I need to do that. But tell us more about like how are you measuring the impact? Because I mean, it sounds like you're doing so much around it. It's not just the app launch, as you said. It doesn't stop at launching the product. It's also
Yeah.
connecting it with the rest and with the world as well. So are you doing any events or anything like that?
Yeah. I think that's the best part is with Peloton, I have to give major props to like all the different teams that worked on Strength Plus. People really come together inside the company to make sure that it's not just a product thing or a marketing thing. Like we have different people at the table being like, you know what, I know an influencer who's getting back into their journey with strength training. We should have that conversation. Or, how do we think about should we market Peloton in a different way when it comes to strength training? Should we give a shout out in a different class? Should we involve our instructors who are true coaches in every sense of the word? So I think for me, bringing products and tech together, that's what kind of stands out is that it's never really just about making a product that's functional. It's always emotional, and people aren't really just using any app or like the bike or our treadmill just to complete a task. It to really take a step back and recognize that they're doing this to be consistent, to feel stronger, to see progress, to really build trust in themselves. And once you kind of recognize that emotional connection and purpose that people feel, in turn, you are kind of taking that energy to your go to market, to your marketing, being like, how do I take this product and the message that we have and get it to as many people as possible? Because I think so much of great product marketing comes from like telling the right story to the right user at the right time in a way that hopefully changes their life for the better. And as a product marketer, I think you also have to do that internal storytelling where you're bringing different teams with different ideas of success and really aligning them into what is the story we're telling, what would success look like for your different channels. And for me, I've really found that it is a lot of empowering channel owners to help you form that go to market. It's not so much as here's our plan, here's how we're going to do it. I think I've always believed in bringing in different stakeholders earlier on so that they have that opportunity to be like, actually, for my specific channel, here's what usually happens.
Mm.
Here's the baseline of metrics. And I think that just makes for a more robust plan that doesn't just work on paper, it works in real life.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the best thing of product marketing, and also sometimes the worst, is stakeholder alignment. Like, you collaborate with so many different
Yeah.
teams, but then each one of them has also their own goals, and it's all about how can I bring all of these people together on the same page and work towards similar outcomes and objectives. So, from your perspective, how did you know that the launch was successful?
So we had identified our initial success metrics. So really technical data points like how long have people spent on the app? Are they, if they work out Monday and Tuesday, do they come back Wednesday and Thursday? If they were working out once a week, have we had an impact in increasing that workout time? We also looked at things like our app reviews. We have a pretty robust built-in arm to hear member feedback.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure, and like, we give a lot of credit to members because people love Peloton. Like, people who love Peloton are so invested in our brand and our products that a lot of the times they have great ideas. So I think never like downplaying feedback in the sense of when people tell you like, this would be so helpful if I could just do this in 20 minutes. Like, that is great feedback to take back. So we had a set of core product metrics we'd analyzed, mostly around daily average user time spent on app, impact to monthly usage. But then we also went through every channel that we had used in launch, whether that's social, email, product notifications, and then identified what has been the baseline for these channels and what should we set an expectation for when we're launching a new product that may or may not be for everyone. So I think our success in the end looked like a bunch of technical metrics that were aligned on well in advance with different channel teams, but then also doing a lot of social listening, hearing people who loved our product, hearing people who thought that Strength Plus could be better. And I think with in 2026, I can't think of a single company that's not building with the consumer,
Yeah.
because we're so lucky to be in a time and place where you have so many channels that are a two-way conversation. I think earlier on, marketing or advertising was a one-way street where companies had something to say, they would say it, and then it would just live in the larger, cultural zeitgeist. Now in 2026, consumers have so many ways to share their thoughts, whether that's social, whether that's Reddit threads. And I think it would be amiss if companies didn't capitalize on the fact that they get one-on-one feedback from their consumers outside of obviously more established channels like consumer research and feedback forums that we do tap into.
I wish it would be the same for B2B. Although it is kind of to some extent, but yeah, I'm really impressed by how much, how involved the consumer was in building the app. And I'm sure gathering feedback, especially when it comes to something like sports,
Yeah.
is so important because everything you described, it's very personalized to each user, and each user has a different perspective of what strength training represents in their life and their day to day and how much time they're willing to give. So very interesting. I'd love to know from you, Shreya, if you'd have to kind of share one key learning, one thing you would recommend PMMs out there
Yeah.
to hold on to when they're approaching a go-to-market strategy launch. What is that takeaway for you?
Yeah, I think the takeaway for me would be to focus on connecting technology to real life value that feels very intuitive and motivational. So like a lot of the features that I work on revolve around these areas of progress tracking, social sharing, community building, entertainment. On the surface, they might sound like different discrete features, but strategically, if you take a step back, they're really different ways of supporting consistency and long term retention Progress tracking helps people see evidence of I'm putting in all this hard work. How is it working for me? Social sharing turns fitness into an identity. How many times have we seen people like post their post run workouts on social? It's a way to like hold yourself and your friends accountable. Community helps people feel less alone. Entertainment reduces friction. You know, if you're not a runner, the fact that I can go down, get on my treadmill, go to Peloton Entertainment, watch a movie while running, to me, that takes down one barrier from me getting to the gym. So I think all of those things are things that, from a consumer standpoint, make it easier for them to come back to your product the next day. So if I only had to focus on one piece of advice, it would be that to really, really put the audience, your consumers, at the center of every strategy. Because at the end of the day, my favorite saying from the start of my career has been you have to make a product that works for different kinds of people. You can't make people the problem and say, our product doesn't work for you, you don't get it. If they don't get it, that is where marketing and product marketing comes in to make people understand the value of your product. Yeah, that's what I would say.
100%. I completely agree. And I hope a lot of PMMs will take this away with them and kind of try and putting in action. But yeah, whether it's listening to sales calls more or conducting customer interviews or user interviews, I think that is the
Yeah.
best way to stay in tune. And Shreya, we've reached the end of the recording. Thank you so much for joining me and sharing your experience with me. And I can't wait to share it with the world.
Thank you for having me, Senda. This was such a beautiful conversation, and I'm so glad that I'm hopefully a little part of your community here in New York, and we can continue to geek out about all things product and marketing.